Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me, possibly your third video for the day. Just a reminder, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Just because I go over these does not necessarily mean I own or hold any of the ETFs or the underlying, nor am I associated with Yieldmax or any of its advisors or affiliates. You may have already saw the video that I attempted to do with the roll up tonight. It has a little bit. It has a roll up of the trades that are here as far as the dollar amount of the intraday trades, and then it goes over. It'll have like this, just real quick: net assets, shares outstanding. It had yesterday's close, today's close, percentage change, dollar amount change, the underlying's IV, yesterday close, current, the dollar amount, and no, this one doesn't have the dollar amount, just the percentage change. Then the difference between the changes for the underlying and the Yieldmax, and then the summary of the trades. So I did that earlier. Of course, as always, I did a lot of talking, and then I went through these. Some of these I read, some of them I wasn't. I really wasn't even sure when I went into it how I wanted to do it. So you may or may not have watched that. I don't think, no, because these aren't really, yeah, I didn't go over any of the rest of them. But so that was just maybe if you want to roll up, you don't really care about looking to see what all the trades are or what all the holdings are, and you don't care about the strike prices or any of that. This other may be better for you, or maybe something that you prefer, or maybe you want to watch both of them. I don't know. I tried to go over the roll up before, and I've done it a few different times. The problem is I rarely get around to it because the video starts to get long, even though I know I'm covering like 21 or so ETFs here. So it's not too bad, especially when you look at Alti. But I don't know. I just went ahead and put it into two separate videos so that way I could track if more people, because not everybody wants to, wants or has the ability or time to comment. So this way I can maybe tell by the separate videos who prefers one over the other. So I'll try it this week. We'll see if I can iron out some things with that one. And but anyway, so that is out there, but I will have this one also just to see. Like I said, maybe we can do maybe this week, maybe next week too, just to get a comparison of what people are actually wanting to see based on, the likes and views of those videos. But anyway, to get on with this one, the way we had started doing this is to make this smaller was only going over the closed positions. And if you notice here, I moved actually I had the newer existing column all the way on the right, then I had to scroll over to see what it was. So I've moved that to the left. And today I went ahead and filtered. As you can see, there weren't a lot of trades here. And none of them were closed. So nobody said, no, I want you to go over those. So I'm just going to continue from here on out, not going over them unless people start requesting for me to go over them. Otherwise, I'm going to just continue to skip these. But so I wasn't having to scroll all the way down the page to read you the total trades for the whole thing. I went ahead and just filtered this. You could at least see the trades if you wanted to see them. And then I went ahead and put this over here, which you could have seen in the roll up also if you'd have done the other one video. But you can see here the cost. We have our short call cost, synthetic, and the grand total. So for AMDY, short call brought in 21.6 thousand, synthetic brought in 69.5 thousand for a total of 91.1 thousand. Misty brought in 99,000 for short calls, 441,000 for synthetic, and 540 total. And then Nvidia brought in almost 107k synthetic, 205K for a total of almost 312K. And then OARC short calls brought in about 15K, synthetic about 36K for a total of 51K. So there's all the trades if you wanted to see them. Of course, we will cover them being new or added on the actual holdings. So a change here I did for the holdings was, again, we had the new existing quantity and price on the right. I did bring them to the left, which then reminds me, as I was reading them, I have changed the headers of these, but I've changed them multiple things. I've had them one way, I've changed them based on some suggestions, and of course I just keep changing back. I'm not sure what I wanted. But in the end, right now, I did change this to quantity. I think I changed it on the Ulti also, but I just forgot to mention all these because I try to keep them somewhat similar. In this case, it should always be contracts, but I know on Ulti it could be shares or contracts, but on the actual, on here, it actually says quantity on what you actually download from their website anyway. So, and then here I had, cost per share, but it saying cost made it imply that Yieldmax paid for something, which wasn't always the case, or I would say cost and then meaning that they paid for it, which wasn't what I was meaning to say. And because I sometimes read the headers, right, because I'm just going through and just knocking them out, and then I'm not thinking necessarily, especially in column Q here, because the price isn't negative like it is in column S. So if I'm not looking at column S, I'm not seeing what's actually going out plus coming in. So I changed the price of that. Same thing with column S. I know it was suggested me to put market value because that's how the holdings was. And then I did have it. Actually, I had something else. And then I did change it to market value. And then I came back to total price. So I don't know. I guess because I didn't want to get confused with market value being that they still held it, or they do hold it or whatever. I don't know. So anyway, I changed it to total price, and who knows, I might change it again. Y'all can let me know what you think. So then I just made this one over here match. And then of course new or existing, I should probably change that too, because technically the way I've changed these formula, if they closed out a certain portion of a holding they already had, it would have a closed over here also for the number of shares they closed. But anyway, I don't want to spend a lot of time. I know I keep making changes and then I have to talk about them just to point out them. But so basically we had no closed. We went over those few that we had, or at least the roll up, and you got to see the trades if you wanted to look at them. But we'll get right on into the holdings. I read out the Yieldmax ETF price and the Yieldmax ETF price and the underlying price. I don't know if y'all want me to do that. I do it. It's here. But let me know if you do or do not want me to read those. I don't mind doing it, but if you could care less and don't want me to read it, then I can stop reading that as well. I mean, there's lots of things here. I can read a lot of stuff. I just want to make sure I narrow it down to what you want me to actually read off. And I know some of you that you're watching this video, you may not need me to read any of it. But if you're somebody that listens to it, you might want it read. So please let me know in the comments, because, and I know a lot of people don't want to comment, but if you do have a preference one way or the other, please let me know. Because if I have a bunch of people that say, no, don't read it, and I stop reading it, but then later people will be like, why aren't you reading it anymore? And it's going to be based off of comments, right? That's the way I try to go. And I know I have lots of comments of changes I still need to make on all these workbooks. I know, and I'm so sorry. I know most of them are from, I don't know, it's at user something. I'm sorry. It's a generic thing. I might have a few others or a few questions or requests from a few other people's, but I know most of them are from one person that specifically he really knows, or she, what they're talking about. I just have to have time to dissect it, add it, and make sure I understand what's being requested as well as to where to put it and how to put it. But anyway, so okay, so I guess I'll read them this time, and y'all let me know if you want me to read these. But AIYY closed at 1524. AI closed at 2905 today. We did not have any trades to go over here, any specific trades. So, and I need to zoom in, don't I? So if we look here, we can scroll over past all of that. And then, let's see. So our synthetic here, we have a strike price of $35, and we're currently 21% below our synthetic strike price. So looking at that, if we had to close that out today, we would pay about $4.4 million to close that out. We have short calls that expired this Friday with a strike price of $29.50 and $30, and we are currently 2 and 3% below those short call strike prices. And I guess I don't have anything on the side of this. I just want to make sure. No, the Ulti one I have. I have some additional stuff over there. And then also to point out, okay, so our money market has 5.7 million, but our cash is negative 5.3. All right. We'll see how the rest of those look if I remember to look at each one of those. If we go on down to AMDY, it closed at 21.43. AMD closed at 190.65. We did have, let's see, so we added 100 contracts to the synthetic, and then we added 50 contracts to our existing short call with a strike price of 200. And then they created a new short call with 50 contracts that will expire Friday with a strike price of 202.50. And as I read that off, I feel as though that is wrong. And I say that because, hold on, let me just check the other spreadsheet without having to. I'm going to do it on my phone so you're not having me go back and forth. And I know, right, we just started this. So this is our holdings. So let me look at our previous holdings. For some reason, I thought earlier I looked at this and we had a 202 strike price. But I could be wrong. But I just want to make sure, because I did do lots of changes this weekend, and Google Sheets, when you make changes of formulas, don't do the same things as if you would do it in Excel. So I had to keep changing formulas and stuff. So I just want to make sure this is 100% correct. Okay, so it is. So I was wrong. We previously had the 207.50, not the 202.50. Okay, just wanted to make sure, but now I have this spreadsheet up should I need to reference it again on my phone. So the 202.50 with 50 contracts with the expiration of Friday is a new one. And then we have the 200 strike price, we had added 52, and then we also had the 207.50 strike price. So we are 9, 6, and 5% below the current stock price. So those are looking good right now. However, our synthetic strike price is 200, and we are below that by 5%. So, of course, all of these synthetics are a couple of months away, so there's not a lot of sense in really looking at them too hard. But you can see here, and I didn't go over this at the beginning of this video, so just as a reminder, for our synthetic position, we would prefer it to be above our price. So our strike price is 200, so we'd want it to be above 200, which we're not. And for our short calls, we would prefer that our strike price, or that our stop price, be under. So we prefer them to be in between the synthetic strike price and the short call strike price. Of course, sometimes they will go down so far that then the short call strike price could be below the synthetic. So keep that in mind as well. But you can see here, if we had to close out this one synthetic, it would end up costing about $4 million because it's underneath that strike price. So just to give you that example there. But we will move on. And then if you can see on the left-hand side over here, the short call and the synthetic market value price is split up, and the net assets and the shares outstanding, should you have not seen this like this before. If we move on to AMZ closed at 22.62. Amazon closed at 174.48. There were no trades shown for this today. If we move on over our we have 2 short calls that will expire Friday with strike prices 177.50 and 180. So we are currently 2 and 3% below those strike prices. And we're seeing here, I didn't look at it above, but you can see here we have this positive and negative on the cash and money market. And we do have that same issue above as well. So I'm wondering if it's just the transition that they're working on and if they're all going to look like that. So if we go on to Apple closed at 17.06. Apple closed at 173.72. We show no shares traded today, or no trades for today. If we go on over, we have 2 short calls that will expire Friday with the strike prices of 172.50 and 175. So you can see we're under one by 1% and over the other by 1%. And our contracts are about split between the two. Sorry, I was just looking at the market prices. Okay, so yeah, we can see that cash and money market there, that negative and positive there as well for a similar price. If we go on down to Coney closed at 26.11. Coin closed at 236.62. We don't have any trades logged here. We have a short call that will expire Friday with a strike price of 257.50, and we are currently 7% below the strike price. Our synthetic, this one expires in April, so we have some in April and some in May, but they're still 1 or 2 months away. But the strike price here is 250, and we're 4% below that. All right, and we're going to move on down to Dizzo. Dizzo closed at 21.72. Disney closed at 113.85. We have a short call that will expire this Friday with a strike price of 115, and we're currently 1% below that. And just make sure I scroll over or down. I know I'm having to be very zoomed in for those of you watching this on your iPhone, so I just want to make sure you see all the data that's on here, even though I'm not reading out every word on here or every number in case you want to view it. But FBY, Phoebe, closed at $22.96. Meta closed at $496.98. We don't currently show any trades for today. We have 2 short calls that will expire Friday with strike prices of 500 and 515, and we are under those by 4 and 1%. However, we have 2 different synthetic strike prices, 505 and 515, and we are under those by 2 and 4%. All right, we'll move down to GUI. GUI closed at 1708, and Google or Alphabet closed at 147.68. We have 2 short calls, and our strike prices are 143 and 144. Forgot what I just said, 147. All right, so yeah, we're 2 and 3% above both of those strikes. That doesn't mean, though, that we will stay there. All right. Move on down to JPMO, which closed at 21.41, and JPM closed at 192.66. Oh, I forgot. I'm looking at. Sorry, I forgot about all of these seem to be that big positive and big negative on those. I mean, every one of them so far has been. Sorry, make sure. Okay, we're at JPMO. Whew, all that scrolling now has got me dizzy. We have a short call that expires this Friday with a strike price of $192.50. And I forgot what I just said. We were $192.66, so we're above that 16 cents. If we go on to Murney, we closed at 20.25, and Moderna closed at 104.26. So we have 2 short calls that will expire Friday with strike prices of 106 and 115, and we're below those 2 and 10%. But we have a synthetic with a strike price of 110 that expires in 2 months, and we are currently below it by 6%. We're going to move on to MSFO. We closed at 22.48. Microsoft closed at 417.32. We don't have any trades there. Let's see. We have 3 short calls that will expire Friday with the strike prices of 422.50, 425, and 435. We're currently 1, 2, and 4% underneath those strike prices. And if we will move on to Misty. So Misty took MicroStrategy took a nosedive today. For those of you that may not have seen it in the roll-up video or the roundup video or in the ulti video where it also is there. So let's see, if I remember correctly from the roundup, Misty dropped almost 10%, while MicroStrategy dropped 15 point something percent today. But anyway, so Misty closed at 36.87. MicroStrategy closed at 15.0276. So you can see here we added to one of these synthetic positions. Let's see. The 1700 strike price. We added 21 contracts to that synthetic. And then they opened up a new short call that will expire Friday. And it was 21 contracts, and the strike price is $1,785. So we're 19% below that strike price, and then we had the existing one that also expires Friday of 1850 strike price, and we're currently 23% below that. And then, of course, you can see the synthetic that we just added to. We are 13% below that one at this moment, and it has a 1700 strike price. And it shows here to close those out that it would cost about $600,000 to close those out. And there are just 31 contracts. Yeah, so there's 21 today. So that means we had 10 before that. Of course, then we have these that are going to expire next week. Of course, we're over these by 37% right now. Of course, it was a lot more last week. But if we close those out, it'd be like 8.7-ish million. We'll move on to the next one, which is Netflix. Netflix closed at 1874. Netflix closed at 618.39. We have no trades documented. And we have a short call that will expire this Friday with a strike price of $6.30, in which we are currently 2% under. Hey, the cash on this one isn't negative. They're both positive, the money market and the cash account. All right. If we go to NVIDIA, it closed at 28.17. NVIDIA closed at 884.55. And we added to the synthetic position a day 90 contracts, and then opened a new short call position that will expire Friday with a strike price of $960. So we're currently 9% below that. Then we also have two more short calls that will expire Friday with a strike price of $975, and we're 10% below it, and then $1,020 and 15% below. Our synthetics, our strike prices are $915, and we're currently 3% below those. And, oh yeah, we have the big plus minus on those for the cash and money market. If we go on to OARC closed at 12.82, ARC closed at 48.79. We added 375 contracts to the synthetic, or they did, and then they opened up a new short call position for the 375 contracts with a strike price of $50, in which they are currently 2% below. And then they already had the existing short call that expires this week with a strike price of $50.50, currently 4% below. And then, of course, we have the synthetic of $50, in which we're 2% below. And let's see. So it looks like, okay, our cash and money markets on the bottom of this one, neither one of those are negative. And then we have PayPay, which closed at 18.65, PayPal that closed at 64.23. And we have our short call that will expire Friday with a strike price of $65. So we're currently 1% below that. And then also our synthetics have a strike price of $65. So they're 1% below, but they don't expire for 2 months. And then we have the positive negative on the cash and money market for this one. If we go down to SQY, closed price is $23.98. Block closed at $80.86. We have no shares to trades to talk about. The short call they have will expire this Friday with a strike price of $84, in which they are currently 4% under. Synthetic, we are over, so that is looking good. Our cash and money market are both positive on that one. If we go down to Tesla, it closed at 15.52, and I don't remember, but we were up on this. I know on the roll up it has yesterday's close and all that stuff, but I know we were up a little bit on this one. But anyway, Tesla closed at 15.52. Tesla closed at 173.88. We have no shares here, or no trades to go over. I don't know why I keep saying shares. We have a lot of stuff going on here. So we have two short calls with a strike price of 170, 172.50. We're already above both of those because Tesla did rally today. The only thing I heard, man, I wish I remember what country that was, but I don't know. In one of the other countries, they're raising prices. So that's the only thing I saw. There could have been more. Like I said, I was busy today, but if you look at our synthetics, they have very similar strike prices as our short calls. They have 170 and 175. So we're above 2% to the 170 and below it 1% for the 175. So all of these are really close in there. I'll scroll over. Our money market and our cash are both positive here. So that's a good thing for Tesla. And we go on down to Zomo, which we closed at 18.06, and Exxon closed at $112.30. And we have no trades to go over there. And we have a short call of $113 strike that will expire Friday, in which we're 1% under. We do have the positive negative on the cash and money market on that one. And then for YMAG, we closed at $20.11. And then for Yieldmax, we closed at $21.16. And to let y'all know, as far as why we haven't seen trades or anything, I did receive an answer on that, but I don't fully. I don't really understand the answer myself yet, and I need to research it a little bit more and try to comprehend it. And then if I give up on that, then I'll just throw it out to y'all and let one of you tell me. But I wanted to try to see if I could understand what Jay sent to me, and see if I can figure it out, which is what he got, data from somebody else. But anyway, I will try to go over that, figure that out, and if I can get that figured out, I can add that to the information that I've received from Jay. Video that I did not get to this weekend. So, we will see how it goes this week. But, yeah, we will see how it goes. All right. I believe that was it, because we went over the trades they had and the holdings, and then I did a roundup in a separate video. But anyway, I hope y'all have a good day tomorrow. If y'all would like to provide any feedback on this video, I know we've been doing this one a while. I've adjusted a few things. Of course, then I tried the roundup daily video for the first time. If y'all could give me feedback, and then we can just sort of go from there on how y'all want to see these in the future. I appreciate it. Bye.